Padel is exploding. Recent reports count 50 to 60,000 courts worldwide, and projections suggest we'll pass 80,000 by the end of 2027. But the question that keeps popping up is simple. How much does it cost to build a padel club? Because the same 4 courts can cost €200,000 in Spain, £600,000 in London, or $300,000 in Bali, and almost nobody understands why. So today we're breaking it down across 5 countries: the UK, the Netherlands, Spain, Indonesia, and South Africa. 5 climates, 5 cost structures, and 1 brutally consistent lesson. But before we dive in, here's something important. Even if your country isn't one of these 5, this video still applies to you. The patterns you'll see here show up everywhere, just in different combinations. By the end, you'll know exactly where your country sits on the global spectrum. If you've ever Googled padel court cost, you've probably seen the line, padel courts from €20,000. And technically, that's true. But it's only true for the kit, steel frame, glass, and turf. A kit in a catalogue isn't a playable court, and it definitely isn't a club. So let's start where the numbers are the most punishing. The UK has passed over 1,000 courts, up from fewer than 70 in 2019. But it's one of the hardest places in the world to build. Why? For a few reasons. The height. Indoor courts need 8 to 9 metres of clearance at the minimum, which rules out most cheap warehouses. Planning. Noise assessments, light spill reports, and local objections add costs and delays. Groundworks. Drainage, excavation, and slabs often take 30 to 40% of the total court budget. So the numbers look like this. Outdoor courts, 45 to 75k per court. Covered or indoor, 500k to 700k for a 4-court build. Premium clubs charging £80 to £100 per hour aren't necessarily being greedy, they're just trying to survive. And here's the part that most people don't really get. Operating costs, staff, heating, lighting, and cleaning can easily make up a quarter or more of monthly outgoings. So already you can see the bigger picture. Any cold, rainy, tightly regulated country behaves like the UK, whether that's Northern Europe, parts of the US, or anywhere with expensive indoor space. Next, we go to the Netherlands. The Netherlands now has almost 3,000 padel courts, most of them covered or indoors. A 4-court indoor build typically lands around €400,000 to €500,000. The Dutch face similar issues to the UK. Land cost, weather, planning, but they compensate with efficiency. Tight layouts, shared foyers, energy efficient envelopes, and utilisation often above 50% year round. The Dutch lesson is pretty simple. If you can't build cheaply, you have to build smart. Now we go to Spain, where it first took off. Spain remains the centre of padel, with around 17,000 courts as of 2024, and well over 20,000 expected in the next few years. 4-court outdoor clubs often cost €200,000 to €300,000 all in. Why? The warm climate, abundant installers, lower labour costs, simpler permitting, and often no roof needed. But low capex comes with a different challenge: saturation. Hourly prices flatten, the margins thin, and many clubs depend on coaching, memberships, and food and beverage sales. Spain provides quite an important lesson. Cheap to build does not always mean it's easy to run. If your country isn't one of these 5, don't worry. I've included a free PDF linked in the description and pinned comment, which includes 10 countries mapped onto these same cost models, so you can see exactly where your region lands. Next up, we have Indonesia. Indonesia has exploded from almost no courts to over 130, with Jakarta and Bali as the main hubs. Outdoor panoramic courts cost between $40,000 to $70,000. Indoor or premium courts cost over $100,000. Court rentals are around $25 to $35 per hour. Indonesia isn't expensive because of labour or land. It's expensive because almost everything is shipped in. Glass, steel, turf, installers, even specialised tools. And in premium areas like Bali, commercial land leases can exceed the court cost itself. Indonesia shows another global pattern. If your country depends highly on imports, the costs can rack up quickly. Next, we go to South Africa, the frontier market. South Africa now has more than 200 venues and roughly 650 courts, despite major infrastructure challenges. A typical 4-court build lands around €250,000 to €320,000. Why? Long distance logistics, import duties, power instability, and wide variation in site conditions. Transport alone can add 10 to 15% to the project, and because of load shedding, generators or battery systems can become mandatory. South Africa shows that Padel can boom anywhere, but infrastructure becomes part of the build cost. If you're watching this from the US, Italy, Germany, Sweden, Portugal, the Middle East, Australia, or anywhere else, here's the key. Every market in the world matches one of these 5 patterns. Hot and outdoor friendly, the Spain model. Cold, rainy, or highly regulated, the UK model. Expensive land, the Netherlands model. Import reliant, the Indonesian model. Power or logistics challenges, the South African model. The actual numbers change, but the drivers stay the same. And again, the free PDF in the description and pinned comment shows 10 countries mapped into these global patterns. So the global costs in the UK, 500 to 700,000 pounds, the Netherlands 400 to 500,000 euros, Spain 200 to 300,000 euros, Indonesia $200 to $300,000, and South Africa 250 to 320,000 euros. Same sport, same court size, completely different economics. These aren't just construction numbers, they're economic ecosystems shaped by land cost, envelopes, planning rules, logistics, labour and energy. That's why Sweden's boom collapsed, why the US has had slow growth, why Italy and Portugal are thriving, and why the Middle East's premium market is accelerating fast. Padel might be booming everywhere, but understanding what it really costs to build the sport's future, that's where the game really begins. Thank you so much for watching, give the video a like and subscribe. See you next time.